Hi guys, it's Emily from Novelle Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my Jane Austen July TBR. Yes, I love Jane Austen July. It was the first big readathon I did on BookTube. It was Katie from Books and Things is the first big channel I subscribed to, and I'm still subscribed to. I literally love her. Through her I found some amazing friends. I found Marissa. I discovered a love for classics thanks to Katie, and she also shares my amazing love for historical fiction, so she's a great channel. Everyone subscribed to her. She just did a big shout out for me and some of my fellow booktubers who I talk about all the time, so Jack and Danny. So look out for look out on when I link Katie's video and Katie's channel, look out for her booktubers that she loves video, because it's linked to some great channels and my great friends. So I'm going to link Katie's channel, I'm going to link Marissa's, I'm going to link Claudia's, and I will link both Katie's and Marissa's announcement videos, because they've got all the prompts, and Marissa's has got some actually, but they've all got great recommendations for the prompts and everything, so I really recommend you all check all those out. Now normally I set a massive TBR for Jane Austen July, but this year I've decided to cut it down a little bit because I've got my holiday and everything coming up. But I have got some great bits and books. I've got one extra book, and I may, if I can find books for the prompts during the month, I may just sneakily get them and then add them into the TBR if I find them, because there's one prompt that I couldn't match because I haven't found a book for it yet. So enough about the rambling, let's go on with the prompts. So first prompt is read one of Jane Austen July's 6 novels. The group book is actually Pride and Prejudice. There is a reading schedule, but you know I don't do that. I'm actually buddy reading this with the lovely Danny from Danny's Book World. Although Danny and buddy reads is going to be hilarious. I love this copy. I got given the cloth-bound copy by my gorgeous sister at Christmas, and I've saved it for then. Heaven and earth are the shades of Pemberley to be thus polluted. I've got lots of Jane Austen July, Jane Austen sort of memorabilia and stuff. I want to get a t-shirt for it if I can. It's not a long book. It's not too long. It's quite a nice book. It's about 4 sisters. It's a lovely family story. Obviously we've got Lizzie Bennet and we've got Mr. Darcy, and we know so many of the characters. There've been so many retellings, there's been so many films, there's been so many, there's just so much about Pride and Prejudice that everyone knows about. I don't need to talk too much about this book. I love all the sisters. I love Lizzie. I love the one that we don't talk about, the one that's in the other Bennet sister. And I love Mary, and I love Lizzie. Oh, I love Lizzie. I love her, love her, love her. I love Lydia. I love all of them. There's 2 younger ones with the pains of our... Actually, it's 5 sisters, sorry. Because there's 2 older ones, 2 younger ones, and then Mary in the middle. And they're all so different, and they're all so great, and their mum's great, and it's just one of the best books in the whole wide world. I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to read it with Daddy, because Daddy doesn't know much about it, and it's just, so great. I can't wait to read it, and it's a group book. But I'm also going to read a shorter one, Northanger Abbey, because I read this a long time ago and I didn't actually like it very much. So I've just got it, you'll see this on my book haul, but I've actually gone and bought a new copy of it because I wanted the Penguin Classics edition of it. I'm collecting, like, I've got the Cloth-bound Classics edition I'm collecting, the Wordsworth Classics editions I'm collecting, and if I can't find them, then I've got the Penguins Classics edition. This book is only just over 200 pages, but when I first read it, it was one of our last novels, but it was actually the first to be written, but one of the last to be published. And it talks about the love and friendships of Catherine Morland, an endearing young girl, extremely fond of novel reading, and it remains the most youthful and optimistic of her novels. It's set in Bath, like most of Jane Austen's books, and she meets the sophisticated Henry and Eleanor Tilney, who invite her to stay at their father's mysterious house, Northanger Abbey. I read this once before and I didn't actually like it, so I'm really looking forward to, because I didn't know much about Jane Austen July then and Jane Austen's books, so I wasn't really into the classics, so I thought I'd give this a reread and hope I like it. Just to let you know, because I like shouting out my fellow booktubers channels, Jem from Gem of Books and Jack from Spread Book Joy are running a read along of Persuasion to run alongside Jane Austen July. I won't be joining them because I only read Persuasion for a second time not very long ago, so I thought I'd give that a miss. But if I get a chance, you never know, I might end up reading it, but I don't know. I don't want to overcommit. But if you haven't read Persuasion, please feel free to join them. Obviously I'll link their channels as well. Looks like I've got loads of channels to link. I'll link their channels down below, and they will obviously talk more about their readathon. So the next one, prompt is number 2. Read something of Jane Austen's that isn't one of her main 6 novels. So I've got a book that's got Lady Susan, the Watsons and Sanderson in it. But this time I'm going to be sensible and only read Lady Susan. I've read all of them before, but I think I'd rather just focus on Lady Susan this time and just literally just read Lady Susan for the group readathon. So they're running that on the 2nd part of July, which is actually when I'm on holiday. They're running that. So I won't be reading it with them, but I will be reading Lady Susan. And she's wicked and beautiful and intelligent and an energetic heroine, sparking a melodrama which takes its tone from the outspoken and robust English century. Looks really good fun. Looking forward to reading that. I think I've read it before, but again, I read them all. And I want to read things, I want to read like the classics a bit slower and see if I take them in a bit better. Now, prompt number 3, read a non-fiction work about Jane Austen or her time period, the late Georgian and Regency era. I've already got some ideas about what books I'm buying for next year, but I finally found it, guys. You know I've wanted to read this book for so long. When I found it in my charity shop for £1, I screamed. It's Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley. I've wanted this book for about 3 or 4 years. It was on my Amazon wish list. I never got around to buying it. This is telling the story of Jane's home life through all the, like, there's pictures, there's writing. It's just, oh my god, I've wanted this for so long. Everyone else has read it and I feel like I'm like the last person to read it. It's got new research and insights. Lucy Worsley reveals a passionate woman who fought for her freedom, a woman who far from the lonely spinster, in fact had 5 marriage prospects, but who in the end refused to settle for anything less than Mr. Darcy. Can't wait to read that. The next one is read a modern retelling of Jane Austen or a piece of historical fiction that takes place in the Jane Austen's time. So I've kind of got a bit of both. They've given it a bit more leeway. So firstly, I've got my naughty one, which is Me and Mr. Darcy, which is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, and it's a contemporary retelling. It's by Alexander Potter. I saw this in the charity shops and thought perfect. He's every woman's fantasy. After a string of disastrous relationships, Emily Albright has had it with modern men. Emily, perfect name. She'd rather curl up with Pride and Prejudice and step into a time when men were honourable and strode across fields in breeches. So when her best friend invites her to Mexico for a week of margaritas and manhunting, Emily books a guided tour of Jane Austen's country instead. There are no dream men here. The coach is full of pensioners, apart from one, Spike Hargreaves, a foul-tempered journalist, writing a piece on why most women would love to date Mr. Darcy. But then she walks into a room and finds herself face to face with Darcy himself. Eek! This looks so much fun. This looks like really fun. Another Pride and Prejudice. This is literally my Pride and Prejudice month for me this month, because that's the 2nd book that's connected with Pride and Prejudice. Now for the 3rd book, I've got to actually put that one out because I've got to write that in my notebook that I read that. It's the chunkiest book, and the one I listened to on audiobook years ago, but I wanted my own physical copy, and I think Charlie from Charles Heathcote gave me this, or did I go out in a charity shop? The Other Bennet Sister. I loved it when I listened to an audiobook, and it's one that I'm buddy reading with Angie from Angie Henderson, and it's the retelling of Mary Bennet's story, and she was the quiet sister. And this is the sad fact of life, that if a young woman is unlucky enough to come into the world without expectations, she had better do all she can to ensure she's born beautiful. To be poor and handsome is misfortune enough, but to be penniless and plain is hard and ew. Apparently Mary needs glasses, we all know this is her story, and I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Can't wait to read this. Can't wait. I loved it so much when I read it before, so to read it in physical copy is going to be amazing. The next one is to read a book by contemporary Jane Austen. Like I said, in Marissa's video, she links loads of books that you can use for this, but I've not been able to find any that I could use for this prompt. So at the moment, that's a prompt I'm not going to be able to complete. But if I find it in the charity shop that I work in or in any other charity shops, I will try and match that prompt over the course of the month. The next one is to watch a direct stream adaptation of a Jane Austen book. So I've got two DVDs that I will try and use. I need to get off my bum and see if my DVD player works. But firstly, I've got Northanger Abbey, because I'm reading Northanger Abbey, so I'm going to try and watch the DVD for that. This looks quite an old copy. It's actually set... I'm sorry, my paper is playing up. I was actually written in like 1996 apparently, so this is very old. But if I can get around to it, I will. And then I got the lovely Danny from Danny's Book World sent me this as a Christmas present, no, birthday present. And this is the new Emma, which I've heard mixed reviews about, but I love Emma as a book. So I'm looking forward to trying this. This is the new, look, you can see I've not even opened it. So this will probably be the first one I'm going to get to. I'm going to try and get to this before the kids break up from school. And then the last prompt is, watch a modern screen adaptation of a Jane Austen book. I will, if I can, see if I can find Bridget Jones's Diary, because that's the only one I know about. I've also got Clueless, so maybe I'll try and read Clueless. I don't know which one, if I can. The watching ones I find a lot harder because it's hard to actually get TV to myself. And it's hard to find time. So if I can do it, I will. If not, I won't. And lastly, there is one extra book that if I can read it for the month, I will. And this is Mr. Darcy's Diary. I think I got sent this by Charlie years ago. I cannot remember. It's like a retelling, something to do with a retelling of like Pride and Prejudice again. And it's to do with torn between his sense of duty to his family name and his growing passion for Elizabeth Bennet. All he can do is to struggle not to fall in love. So it's Mr. Darcy's Diary. So I wonder what I'm going to think of that. But that's an if I can. So it will go on my shelves if I can. But we'll see. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below. Are you joining in with Jane Austen in July? Are there any of these books I should prioritise? Like, I love saying that. I always say that in every video. But are you taking part in Jane Austen in July? Are there any books you're really excited about? Let me know down below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, not subscribed yet, bring on my ding-a-ling. And I'll see you all soon.